Call this Washington County Board of Education to order. I would like to recognize that Annette Buchanan is joining this virtually. So she's on a work trip, I think. But would like to ask Ms. Waters if you'll say the prayer,
Sure.
and Chad, if you'll do our pledge for us.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Sure. Our kind, gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for what you do for us. Lord, we thank you for the sunshine outside. God, we just thank you for our health. We thank you for the ability to be here tonight. We ask for your wisdom and knowledge and decision making, God, and just help us to have patience in dealing with the issues. And we thank you so much for this country, and we love you and praise you. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, first on the list, if I can get a motion for consideration of meeting agenda, please.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Discussion. Let's vote, please, Ms. Jennifer.
Adding second.
Annette?
Or yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
All agreed.
Thank you. Next is our public comment section, and I think we have one, Mr. Ben Bales.
Yes, sir.
And if I can, I need to read this so everybody understands, okay?
Okay.
There should be a public comment period for each meeting with actionable items on the agenda, which there is, with the exception of teacher disciplinary hearings. Comments shall be limited to topics listed on the agenda. The total public comment period shall be no more than 3 minutes. If an individual wishes to address the board, he or she shall sign up on the form provided before the beginning of the board meeting to request to speak. Each speaker will be given no more than 3 minutes. Okay?
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hey, thank you for allowing me some time to speak tonight. My name is Ben Bales. I'm a new resident of Sulphur Springs. I grew up in the Tri-Cities, but lived all over the world for the last 25 years, and my wife and I decided to settle right here in Washington County. With that said, you guys have a lot of good things going on here, one of which is the community sports teams. Now, I just want to state for the record that I am not in favor of consolidating those sports teams. They mean a lot to the community, and any changes at this point are going to take away opportunities from our children. As you all are aware, extracurricular sports activities have a positive impact on our youth, on test scores, on absenteeism. Conversely, you start taking programs away, those things are negatively impacted. I've coached teams 3 states now, and a lot of times those kids, that's the only outlet they have. I've coached kids, football is the only time they were able to get out of their apartment because drugs are being dealt outside their house. So it's a great outlet for them. Again, it's a positive influence in the lives of the children, and I just hate to see those opportunities taken away. Now, you have 3 proposals in front of you. At this point, I don't see how those are, you're able to execute those in a fair and equitable way. We've seen headlines, but we haven't seen the details. And as you all know, the devil is in those details. How do we do away with existing conflicts of interest? How do we be fair? How do we continue to give all the students the opportunities that they need? So I'll be brief and just say, again, please be careful in your consideration before you take something away, and how that's going to impact the community, our kids, and the opportunities they have to be successful. So with that, thank y'all very much.
I wasn't your time. You got that time.
No, I know.
Ben, I apologize.
That's all right.
I thought it sounded.
I'm a salesman, I could go around 3 minutes. But no, in all sincerity, I know what y'all are up against. I talked to a few of you. My mom and dad set up on this board in Sullivan County for 40 years between the 2 of them. So I know what y'all are up against. But again, let's make the decision what's best for the kids, and we can help solve this problem. I would suggest administration involve parents who have some outside perspective, who are in the business world, who solve complex problems every day to help solve this one. So again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next is if I can get a motion for approval of minute meetings, please.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open. Ms. Buchanan?
She said yes.
She said yes, thank you. All agreed.
Thank you. Next is announcements. Mr. Boyd.
Just a list of items, for your awareness. We had a scheduled budget committee meeting. We had no items on that, but we did attend. As you all know, too, next week is the annual Tennessee School Board Association Summer Law Institute in Gatlinburg, with all the Tennessee boards and attorneys. And most of our board is able to attend, so we'll see you there. Just for our students, we have our freshman incoming AMP camp for our incoming freshmen and for both high schools, July 22nd through the 26th. Various activities planned, team building and orientation of our incoming ninth graders to high school for that entire week. Last year was the first year. This is the second year of this. We had a great success last year, and certainly the team has worked hard to build off of that and make it a great experience for this year's incoming ninth graders. The 22nd is the regular county commission meeting. At this time, we don't have any items on their agenda. And then our next workshop is the June 30th. I also want to add, that's not listed there, just for your awareness. We have annually our new teacher hire luncheon. That is the 25th, 11:30 a.m. at Grace Meadows. You're all invited to attend. Certainly would like to introduce them to our board members that can come. And July 30th is the first formal day where the teachers report back. Some of them have already started getting into their classrooms, but formally the 30th is the date that begins all their school year officially, and they'll report to their schools in the morning, and then they'll spend the morning at their schools, and after a lunch transition break, they'll come to Jonesboro Elementary, all of our teachers, and we'll have our kickoff session with all teachers and administrators in the Jonesboro Elementary gym, 1 o'clock. And then I'll wrap it up, and my goal is to get them out of there before 3 o'clock.
That's the 30th?
Yes, sir, July 30th. Jonesboro Elementary School, it'll begin at 1 p.m.
Question in regards to the camp. Were we able to have any of the kids that participated last year
They're part
go
of
to
the process.
8th graders to talk to them about the benefits of it?
I was told yes.
Okay.
And that was a natural thing to do. They're the ones most knowledgeable. And then also, we have involvement of upperclassmen, students that are involved in being camp counselors. So they're involved as well as a team of adults that support all the process.
Have we got a preliminary count on how many?
My last update that I received is we were near 200 students. I think even exceeding 200. I think it may have been like 115 at each site, which is about half of the class. Not as much as we want, but it's still, the numbers are increasing over last year. So
They are, okay.
yeah, the percentage of the size of the class participating. So we'll continue to build off of that. We want more participation. So it's intended to be a week to alleviate some concerns that every rising ninth grader might have and their parents, but also to build team and build that culture and relationships between each other. They're coming together from different elementary schools in a new environment, and it's just a good way to start the school year for our incoming ninth graders.
No, it's great.
I think for now that's all the dates. Just it's not on here, and we'll have a workshop before then, but the August board meeting is the 8th. That's, normally we're the first Thursday of the month, but because August 1st is an election day, you all have moved it to the 8th. And that's all of the dates right
Okay,
now.
thank you, Mr. Boyd. If you will, go ahead and move into your report, please.
Sure. Just as you know, these are all just reports, public record for full public awareness and for the board's awareness, and enrollment update information, just where we're at in enrollment. Just field trip reports that don't require board action. There are none for this month. As you know, probably in August there'll be a list. Personnel report, all the personnel changes from the previous month, and then any grant updates, and then as continuing work orders and progress on preventative and ongoing maintenance report. And then Mr. Hale, as you all saw in the workshop, the monthly financials, including revenues and expenditures for public record. And that's all.
And just a key note, Mr. Hale is out sick, so hopefully he gets better and joins us.
I meant to ask this last month, but what about kindergartners? Is it enrollment? Is it up, down, about the same?
Honestly, I mean, right now it looks about the same, but we really, truly don't have a solid number until after that first week.
Okay.
But it certainly, the pre-registration and numbers we have, it looks like it's going to be pretty consistent with the last couple of years. Yes.
Get a number of parents that don't bring them in till the first day of school to register.
Well, I mean, that's part of it.
Yep.
We also have, some new families that come in, and that's when they come in. So it's a moving target until, it's moving data until that first week is a little more.
I had a neighbor come in from Ohio, and they said, you guys start after Labor Day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of our friends moving in from the north and the east coast, they still are on that calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been that way for years. They're very surprised when we've been in school a month and they're expecting to enroll their children in September.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boyd. If I can get a motion for consideration of consent agenda, please.
Make a motion.
Second. Mr. Wayne, discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open. Ms. Buchanan, how do you vote?
Annette? Yes.
Thank you. All agreed.
Thank you. All right, next is, we got Ginger here from the Lewis Group to update us a little bit. You want to come on up and
By yourself, huh?
Yeah, by myself. You don't need anybody else, you just need me. So I actually just have very simple updates on everything, all the projects. I visited Culinary, the upgrade, David Crockett, and we have demolition going on, electrical subcontractor checking the sign, so it's just work in progress. Security upgrades, I heard from Mayor last week, and they were pulling permits and being in contact with the State Fire Marshal's office, making sure that there's a plan for the egress during construction. And today, I already started getting some of the submittals for some of the fabrications.
good.
And then athletic upgrades, we had our site meeting, and I got some pictures. I don't have anything to say on that. Just look at the pictures. Don't have any issues to bring up. Hopefully it stays that way. So now we're starting with the pictures. This is at the David Crockett site, and we have the buildings are up. They're starting to put the structure for the bleachers. I do have the clicker here. So we'll go back. So that is on Crockett. We have the 3 buildings up, and we have the field lights up.
And I sent all the board, I went by yesterday, and they have all of the risers up now. So within a week, they've gotten almost the full framework of the bleachers up.
From what I understand, it goes up pretty quick. So by the time you guys go on your visit, there should be a lot to see.
Yeah, these pictures ain't current, because I went over there yesterday and walked around. And
This is Monday.
Yeah, that was Monday, so they just started putting the beams
Yes.
in place Monday, and by yesterday, they had almost all of the structure up.
Well, this is the press box over at Boone, and I asked them how long it took them to just put this together and put it up. They said 10 minutes. Well, they just crane it up and set it in place.
Wow.
So that's how big the posts are, and that's how we calculated. And I remember this calculation, a foot and a half around the bleachers. So they're right where they need to be. And you can start seeing, that's where the integral block is the light gray, and then the gray block, that's what's gonna get covered with the school colors. So each school is gonna have its school colors with a glazed brick. So you can start seeing some of that. Start seeing where the structure, how it lines up with the buildings. That's on the back. There are people installing some lights already. And that's looking at the bleachers already.
Looks nice.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a few things that need to come back and finish up, but they have most of it up. On the front, we're gonna have the cable railing, but they don't have that up yet. But that's it.
Concessions and restrooms, where are they at it? Are they just,
The buildings are there, the plumbing's there, everything's there. They have what fixtures they are needing,
Okay.
so they're gonna start installing that sometime soon.
so as far as time for
Nothing
everything's
has changed,
scheduled?
as far as I know, and the schedule's still the same
Okay.
as of Monday. So please.
And they've had some good weather, so that's been a
Yes.
blessing.
Yes.
Might
And-
not be for some, but for the public.
Yeah, and the lead time on the things that we needed, thankfully, has been okay, and anything that has come up, we've gotten on the phone and tried to find out alternatives or tried to figure something out, so.
So we're good for the first game at Crockett this year for completion. August,
They're working on that.
23rd?
no, it's more that.
Is it?
No, it's the third week.
Third week in August.
I believe it's the third.
I think that's the plan.
Okay.
That's why they started with Boone, and then with this switch to get the bleacher structures up. Now, most of the work crews will be focused at Crockett.
16th.
Because Crockett
16.
will start first.
You're right. Yeah, Boone's, I think their first 3 games are away and first 3 at Crockett at home.
Yes, yeah. So that was the last conversation we had with the AD. He mentioned that
Right.
at Boone it would be later. So as far as I know, nothing has changed on the schedule. Everything's still in progress. And that's all I have.
They turn the lights on, make sure they're working, or they waiting to wire that up under at the
So
concession
they're
stand?
finishing up they're putting lights outside. On the interior, they don't have it. They're installing just the lights on the exterior. So on the interior, they're finishing up the finishes to be able to install the lights. So I'm sure they'll make sure that everything works.
Does the
and
concession stands have air conditioning?
they're all yes. They're all, they have HVAC, they have
Make sure.
mini split units on each of the buildings. That's how we address that.
And what about the electrical on the ball field at Crockett where we had to do the extra?
Yeah, they're still doing some site work, and Mr. White asked me about that. So I think that's the reason why it's still progressing. So they're still working on that.
The lights aren't active at either side, they're still doing electrical, but on the Crockett site where they had to do that, they mounted the baseball lights on one side, and they're setting, electrical pad and, I guess, transformer right there on the ground. They haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Because they still have to they gotta work the grade
Right.
for the drainage before they set that.
Yeah, and we're still doing a lot of that drainage and stormwater work. So we want to finish that up first.
Good deal.
Sewer lines and everything's gonna work right? Not gonna
Yes,
stop up?
we have some progress on that. I don't know the details about it yet. I will come back with details, but we may have to rework some of the sewer that we did. And it may end up.
Which
in a-
side?
On David Crockett.
Okay.
Because, that line that we showed you, that the manhole was too high. So our engineer is working something out, so we may come back with clean outs, not the manhole because of the height. So it might come back as a credit I'm not sure how much it is. I'm not sure the details on that. So by the time I come back, I'll have that for you.
Because of the grade, Steve said they were running a metal sleeve through that tile.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do the
And that's where
manhole,
the
but
sewage is gonna be contained within a metal sleeve going through that tile. And then they'll have cleanouts on both
on each
sides.
side, yeah, instead of the manhole. So you'll be able to access it, which was the point of the manhole. Yeah. That's it.
Any more questions for Ms. Ginger?
Thank you, Ms. Ginger.
You're
Appreciate it.
very welcome.
Thank you. Safe trip back.
Safe travel
Thank
home.
Yes.
Okay, next is our middle school baseball and softball programs. Ms. Gordon, you want to lead that discussion?
Yeah, you know, the reason, of course, and the challenge, it was heavily, the discussion was heavily around umpires. You know, that's a reality we're going to face, and honestly, we got emails today about other sports. So it's going to be something not just Washington County, we'll have to have creative solutions that were mentioned. So, you know, that was just one aspect. The other aspect is, you know, just the reality that we already have consistently combined some teams. It's usually based on when they didn't reach certain participation levels. It was a necessity to ensure that the teams could play. And, you know, I guess the discussion was obviously about consolidating to a couple of teams in each side of the county and making that be the competitive team, and then having a developmental league where almost like a JV where the other teams, so that students can still have an opportunity to play. But, you know, at this point, what I recommend, and the board certainly can take action on what direction they want to go, is that we continue with the practice that we have had in place. We certainly, throughout the fall, our coaches need to really work to try to get participation at all of the teams. We also start supporting our regional, you know, we have always supported our regional umpire signing group, but we work with them on marketing. We just try to get it out there. There may be some parents, you know, parents with children playing, I don't believe they necessarily want to umpire, but, you know, some might, just based on their willingness to serve and be supportive. And also they, you know, there's people in the community that would just step up. If it was, you know, some of them might be they don't want to engage in a regional umpire, as you know, as you do.
Right.
You might get sent across the region. And if we look at the option of combining, doing a blended model where we certainly use the regional assigner, but we also backfill and have a plan to backfill with local. And then those umpires that would commit, you know, they would be committing to knowing that they're just going to be within Washington County. And there's other things, you know, that we mentioned that are just adjustments, start times, the time limits, and the innings. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, those are going to be in place. I will realize there was a statement made about time limits, but I think there's a point in all leagues, all the way up, that time limits come into play, and it needs to be consistent.
So, I'm sorry, that is option one.
I don't honestly
Okay.
know which option number it is.
Trying to
It's
figure out.
option 0 as far as I'm concerned, because it's staying the same.
We're
Staying the
blending
same.
it. Okay, well, it
With some
says stay the
solutions.
same, I'm sorry.
So what would make sense is certainly, you know, we have a heightened awareness. Although we've been aware slowly over time, there's been more difficulty maintaining officials, and also even young people's participations in various sports is declined, you know, particularly sports like football and things like that. So we know that reality's there, but we can continue with what we're doing and continue to try to encourage young people to go out and play. But on the official side, you know, like I said, we try to explore all options for people that are willing. It may be, like I said, they may be willing to serve certain nights in only certain areas. I mean, if we can work out a plan to make sure we have that in place. It may just be as a backup. We may have it, maybe the assigner or something will happen and we have an increase in those that can officiate and will officiate.
So this
But we need to
allows-
have a backup plan to make sure, you know, in the unfortunate outcome, if we can't have an official, the game would have to be canceled. But we start building now and throughout the fall in preparation. And really, it's about having able bodies to be officials. And then also our coaches really, you know, encouraging young people, as they always do, to come out and play. And then if we get in a position like we have, some of our smaller schools just can't make a team, you know, we as early as necessary, then we combine those teams just as we have, and everyone else continues, if they have the numbers, they continue as they can. But, you know, the main point is to make sure that our students have access. And of course, they want to play for their community and their team, but we don't want to just say, well, if you don't make the numbers, then you can't. We want to make sure there's other options for those people that, you know, are young people that might be in that position.
So this still utilizes that umpire group that came, that gentleman that came and talked to us, and then adding any that we can
Yeah, I think just-
recruit and just,
just-
I like that.
Of course, keep
Well-
in mind, they've got to go be TWSA
Right.
approved. which
Yeah, they
is
have to
very
do the
simple.
training, it's not, you know, and hopefully, as TWSA has to manage this even more, if there are some unnecessary hurdles in place, you know, as a bureaucracy and organization, they can kind of look at things. I always want, with safety and, you know, qualifications in mind, that there may be some hurdles in addition to the travel that might keep some people, you know, and other than the reality that, you know, you're going to be in an uncomfortable position as an official quite often. Because you're calling a game and you're going to make somebody mad. But, you know, that's part of it, and they know it going in, and when they get tired of it, and unfortunately too many have gotten tired of it, they move on, but we maybe can just bring in some new people.
I'd like to make a motion as to what he had just gone over. I don't know how I'm gonna
Well,
put that in.
let's get some more,
Okay.
that you can, let's get a
Sure.
little more discussion.
Sure.
Mr. Twain?
So, I like the time limits. Do you think the run rule that ought to be applied? I think there was 3 things that we kind of mentioned.
Yeah.
Was the time limit, the run rule, and a minimum number of players.
Yeah, and that's only to say, you know.
You need to have a team.
It can't be feasible, and you may have to look at consolidation or not. You can choose not to, but if you can't have the numbers, you know, we really, you can't move forward. Yes, sir.
But this still allows them to play for their team unless they
Right.
can't make a team, and then
Correct.
those will be.
And that's what we've always done in the
Right,
past.
right.
And Bob, I mean, I think, you know, we discussed setting a finite number,
Right.
13, I'm just throwing a number out, on a roster. I don't know that we need to do that. I mean, by rules, there's already certain rules. If they don't have so many players, they
Right.
can't play the game.
Right.
So the rules are already in effect. And yes, it's difficult on a team that might just have 9 players on their roster, and there's going to be games because of illness and family vacations. And as we've learned, birthday parties, and, you know, the kids just don't come. But we'll just work through that as we have.
Well, it's more work to put in, but anything worth working for is worth working for.
Mr. Huddleston?
Does there have to be 2 umpires? Can you run a game with 1?
We have in the past, this year, we have had 1 umpire, but it's, as an
difficult.
umpire, it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard.
I can imagine.
But yes, you can do it with 1.
For the teams this year, did we have some that had only 9 players? Do you know?
We had some right in the margins, and yeah, some of them ended the season with not enough to play because they either, you know, there's injuries, there was illness, there was other commitments that were made, and they just decided they were done, and they just couldn't play.
Mr. Twain?
I'd also like to see us make a more of a focused attempt for conference games to be trumped by, you know, or be the trump over non-conference games. I tried to reach out to a couple of people and they said it maybe because of the standing issue or whatever may have been more competitive against a non-conference game than a conference game, but conference game's still in our reach, you know what I'm saying, try to make a more focused effort for the conference.
We talked about game limits. I think we need to set a number where there's conference games, certainly take priority. But also, I mean, I think we have a real discussion about, do they need to play 25, 30 games? And not many did. Usually those are the travel teams that play all those games. But, you know, when you start getting into the 20 in a season that's in the spring for middle school students, that's a lot of games.
It's 8-week season.
But yes, I mean, there needs to be a set number
It is
of
gonna
conference
snow.
games they have a commitment to make to that.
Right.
One thing I've thought about too, the last little bit, with Ridgeview and I'm speaking on the north side, but with Ridgeview and Boones Creek, that's got 2 baseball, 2 softball, you know, and I feel like if we schedule correctly, we could knock out, you know, at the both facilities, you can have 8 teams playing at one time, baseball, and 8 softball at one time. You do a double header, you get 16 games in one facility. You add it to the other one, you got 32 games in one day. And an umpire only has to go one spot
To do both
to do both games. You know, that's,
Yeah, scheduling, I know our athletic directors mentioned that too.
Right.
That would be something that certainly needs to be looked at,
Mhm.
because that was some of the feedback we got.
right.
I think it's good for our boosters too, because if you have, you know, say Boones Creek and Ridgeview, and I don't know exactly how to do this, but they could also split the revenues to help, you know, the home games that are.
Like they do at
the-
Ridgeview
yeah,
now.
mhm. And Boones
Well,
Creek. you
Because
know,
we got several schools don't have fields and they
Right.
make that, but you know, I gotta agree with Mr. Boyd, I don't wanna consolidate it all. But we have to come up with a plan before January. And if we just sit down and schedule correctly, I really don't see a problem here, you know? I mean, that's my thought.
I think we exhaust, you know, all of the options, and hopefully it won't end up in a position where we have to have a conversation about reducing the number of teams. But I think before we have that conversation, we really have to make every effort to exhaust all the other options.
Well, can I make that?
You know, Annette wants to say something.
Oh,
Let me
go
get-
ahead.
Let me get a speaker down
Sorry.
towards you. Okay, Annette.
Hey, I would just want to know who's going to be tasked with those scheduling issues.
I would think it'd be the AD's responsibility. And
Yes,
I mean,
it's
Mr. Boyd, maybe-
athletic director's responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rip.
So are we gonna go ahead and implement time limits, what the time limits are tonight, or is this just an ongoing
Well,
discussion?
you know, I would, in a more formal fashion, so if you know, assuming you make the decision that we're maintaining in the direction we are, I would want the athletic directors to come back and answer the questions about number of conference games and prioritization of conference games, what that looks like, time limits, innings, you know, because there's a staggered, after so many innings and so many runs, after so many more and so many more. So I want them to present those details in the frame of, we're still moving forward as we are. All of our teams are currently a reality, but we have to solve the umpire, the official problem, and we have to kind of tighten up some of these other rules that we have. And we are under when we go away outside of Washington County. Just when it got into Washington County, you know, it's always great to have flexibility, but it seemed to be to our detriment a little bit, and so we need to make those adjustments.
Right now, Mr. Riddle, it's, what I've had is hour 45 on baseball and hour and a half on softball. That's outside Washington County. That's been the time limits that the other counties have.
And that sounds reasonable.
I did.
Go ahead, Annette.
So are those time limits going to be the rule that we're going to go by our county when they come to us to play?
That's right now, that is system-wide for TWSAA. You know, we can set our time limits to anything, but that's the other sister counties, that's what they've set.
And the next thing is, we have, I guess the coaches at each school have the ability to schedule more games on their season. Are we going to limit those even more?
Now that, I don't,
I mean, that would be one of those other components. I think that's where the athletic directors need to provide that detail. My understanding, the discussion is yes, and you know, the number was mentioned to be 20 total. You know, 18, 20 total, but I think that's something that needs to be brought before this board and presented and discussed, and if it's finalized, then, you know, that's what it'll become.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Quinn?
Do you have clear what you want to say, or you?
No, go ahead. I was trying to write it down. Go ahead.
I make a motion that we implement a time limit, that we implement a run rule, and then we make conference games a priority, and bring back the details back to this board, but let's go ahead and make those three, and maybe a minimum player, or try to, or at least be mindful of, hey, and you're not gonna see injuries. If you make it 13 and 2 get hurt, it ain't fair for them just to have to give up the rest of the games because they're down to 11. So, I don't, just be mindful of that, but the time limit.
But continue
The
what we've
run
got
rule.
now.
With the
Yeah, all
same
schools
thing.
eligible to have a team.
Good.
Run rule, time limit, and conference games a priority. I guess we'll leave it that broad. Well, no, we'll just leave it that broad, and then we'll come back and finalize the details of that.
So you're saying basically that's the base of
Model
where
to stay
the
with.
ADs need to take and then bring back from there?
I think so.
Is that what-
Is it? That's what,
Yeah, I mean, basically, every team's eligible, I mean, every school's eligible to have a team. You know, we can set limits, I caution setting, I mean, we have discussion about that, but like I said, the rules already determine if the game's played, if there's not enough players.
yeah.
I think for the long term of the season, you know, coaches have to be mindful, and if I get below a certain number,
Oh, yeah. I'm tough.
it's gonna really put a strain on the team, and kids won't get to play. So I just think setting that limit might not be necessary
Okay.
at this time.
How many conference games are there in a season?
10 teams. Isn't there 10 teams?
I'd say 9. I believe 9.
They play each other twice or only once? Each other.
No, they played it there twice, I think.
Is it?
Is that right, Mr. Bales? You played everybody twice,
Yeah,
correct?
that's right, yeah, Jason, yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
we came in halfway through the season, so.
Okay, okay. I don't see the master schedule, I just see, you
That's
know,
typically the way the setup goes in most conferences, play in conference twice.
One
and then-
away, one
Then
home.
you'll go out of conference and play somebody wants to pick up a few more games,
okay,
so.
okay. Do we have a motion, we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion?
I want to amend his motion. That may not pass, but I'd like to stretch it out and go 2.5 and 2 hours.
Well, I didn't put a time limit.
I think we bring
I
that
said
back to you.
That's in the,
Yeah, I'll
Let
take
him
that
come
to
up
the.
Well, you said time limit, okay. I
yeah,
thought-
I didn't, I
We just
didn't.
didn't put an actual time on it.
All right. Well, we'll talk
No
about
motion
that
then?
later. No motion.
Any more discussion?
And
Brett, Mr. Frank?
well, we've got 3 coaches in the room, and I don't know if we got anything to add, but I just want to,
And one gentleman in the back. if the
Yeah,
chair
how many
wants to
coaches we
recognize.
got with us tonight? Anything you'd like to add?
I agree.
You're good? Okay.
Thank y'all for your time. My name's Danny Ball, and I coach Moose Creek. There are some things, we do have 16 conference games we have to play, okay? We can pick up 4. So we play a total of 20 games if we can pick up 4 non-conference. I agree the non-conference does not need to be set aside or set first. The thing I want you guys to think about, I carried 11 kids this year. That's all I had. I took everybody. Grandview, they got 50 kids trying out, okay? And Grandview's got the numbers, so does Ridgeview. And I know I'm probably gonna make some people mad, but if we looked at combining, instead of carrying 12, I get to carry 24 and a JV team that gets to move up, because all we're doing is filtering into Boone and Crockett. This is a stepping stone for these kids. So if I can have a JV team and a varsity and build that team up, then I'm sending Boone a lot more prospects than just 12 kids. I got a lot more kids playing ball than just 12. This is my 2nd year. Last year I had 10. Injuries, sickness, you're right, I'm done.
But you've got a large school.
I do have a large
So why
school.
don't you have kids wanting to come out?
I don't know.
Well,
We have posted poster boards, we have done everything. I've been in that school on a daily basis saying, come try out, come try out.
You have a JV and varsity, doesn't that mean more games?
Yeah, it means more games.
So that's the whole problem.
Not if we combine and then we go outside of the TSSAA. I'm just asking for you guys to look at this from a kid's standpoint.
that's what we're
I don't
doing.
want to cut your kid because I can only carry 12.
We're not setting,
No, we're not saying
Time.
nothing.
No, I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying like if you combine these schools, then I've got a bigger
Pool.
bunch to pull from.
but you're cutting kids.
I'm not going, not with me and Gray, and I'm not saying that that's an option. I'm just saying if my school and Gray combined, there's no cutting. Because you got Gray sitting at 12, 13 kids. You got me sitting at 12, 13 kids.
Greg had 7 players this year.
Gray did?
Yeah.
Okay, well. But I mean, still, I mean, I didn't cut anybody. I just wish you'd look at this, and I know you've got you've got to look at this every way, and I really appreciate your time, but from my standpoint as a head coach, I want every kid that can play to play, whether it's JV or varsity.
And I think it's more what we're gonna do, is make sure to give everybody the opportunity instead of just Saturday games or cutting number of teams down for sure, so.
So, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, Mr. Ball.
Thanks so much.
Any more discussion on the motion in the second? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open.
Is there a way that I can say something about all of this, or do I need to be on the agenda about the whole baseball, softball combination?
Are you a coach, or what's your
No, I
affiliation?
actually have a kid that has been playing baseball for a long, long time. And he is actually here. My name's Ashley Green, and my kid does go to Gray. And we feel like I'm sitting here and I'm listening to like kids not wanting to play or kids not playing at all. And I think it starts with the coaching. I know with Gray in particular, we've had 3 different coaches in the last 3 years. And I think it starts at the top with the athletic director, making sure that we have qualified coaches that are able to coach these kids properly. And in school ball, we feel like it's not just about a participation. It's more about training these kids to get them prepared for high school. And I know at Gray particular, that did not happen to where we did have a lot of kids that wanted to quit or not wanted to come and try out for the team. I feel like I don't know the logistics on combining the schools, but I do feel like it would be more of an opportunity if schools do have a JV and a varsity team. So that does give more kids the opportunity for the advancement, just like in basketball, you have a JV and a varsity. You have 6th and 7th graders that play on JV. In baseball, I feel like if you had a JV team, that would give 6th graders an opportunity to play versus sitting on the bench practically half the season and just wanting to quit. So at this point, and I've talked to my son, we feel like it starts at the top, starting from the athletic director, the coaching, making sure that you have coaches that are qualified to be able to coach school ball and is able to give these kids more of an opportunity to, I guess, play to where it's not just participation. Because when these kids I know, for example, my stepson, when he played or went to high school, it was a culture shock for him to where he did want to quit playing sports in high school. And high school is where these kids really need to be in sports to not to continue or not to be in trouble. And I think it does start at the middle school level. if these kids are not able to make a middle school team. There's always Little League. That's where most kids start out, is Little League. So there's other places other than school ball that these kids can participate in sports, but I really believe it needs to start with the coaching and how they present their team, because 3 different coaches in the last 3 years is not a good number and not good for these kids, because each coaches are coaching differently, and it's not helping the kids at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's vote, please, Jennifer. Or do it, okay,
You already voted.
yeah. Cool, wait. Annette, what's your vote?
She's not
Yes.
voted.
Oh,
I thought I voted.
she did.
Making 3. All agreed.
Thank you. And then Ms. Boyd can coordinate that with the ADs, and we can go from there on that. So. Okay, Mr. Boyd, you want to go over the?
Yeah, just purchase orders. These are items that weren't under the consent agenda. Solution Tree is, and this is school allocation money, but it's over $10,000. That they're pooling their funds to bring in Solution Tree, which is a professional development group, to work with their faculty. And those schools are pooling for $13,000. I recommend approval.
So moved.
We have a discussion. Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting second. All agreed.
Thank you.
Next item, this will be something that we'll have to take to Hugh because it's educational capital funds. The approval of purchase of 3 large propane buses and release bids for 3 small buses. If approved, the next step, and it won't be until August, we will take it in front of the Hugh committee.
I'd like to make that in form of a motion, please.
Discussion. Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting second. It's approved with 1 no.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Boyd.
Next is the item for renewal of the propane services for the schools, school buses, and the tanks.
Did we get a bid? How much it's gonna cost? Is it locked in?
Yeah, that's what
I didn't see it.
that's where we were at on the workshop. We just wanted more.
Wanted more information on it. I didn't, what the price was gonna be and what it's.
I thought the price was in here.
Fixed price, $1.89 per
Yeah,
gallon.
and that's
we said that
locked in.
next year to,
It don't go up, it can't go down?
Not for the term of this agreement.
Okay.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Mr. Hammond made the motion.
Thank you.
Discussion. Let's vote, please.
Voting second. All agreed.
Thank you. Next is the, where we discussed on the property at the Gray School on the driveway. And Jared, did you find anything out, or did you make contact with him or Mr. Boyd, or?
I have not talked to the gentleman.
I've not had a chance to.
Okay.
I mean, I think the discussion was, does the board want to provide an option? And then we proceed from there.
Okay. Do we have any kind of recommendation on this?
I think we ought to sell them, a foot beside the driveway up to where the old pool was, which I don't know how to make that a proper motion, but there's a fence right there to where their property bound would end.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we're in agreement with that, then I think the cost should be what it costs to,
Demo the house.
the demo of the house cost.
And you're saying a foot over from the driveway on the house side?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
1 foot all the way up to the corner of that fence, and I'm talking about the front corner.
Right.
And that would be, you know, they could purchase that for the demo of the house cost.
Is that a motion?
Well, if that's fair with everybody, I mean, that's,
What was the demo of the house, 25?
25,000.
I mean, we'll wash your hands of liability and give it to them. So yeah, I'll make it a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Well, this is the first time in 18 years that I've ever seen the school system sell land. And that's all I heard whenever you all, when this come up, that we need to buy this, we need to buy this. Now we're turning right around and selling some? I don't understand it. Ladies and gentlemen,
This is to square his property.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's for him to use his
should have,
driveway.
if he was interested in, he should have bought the whole house. You know?
We need the house, so.
Well, we need that land. If we're gonna have it, we might as well have it, so. I do not understand this. So.
Any more discussion?
I'll be-
Jared, I do have a question. Where the well was at, I went in by the other day, there's a pipe sticking up. I take it that's where they cut the well off, I guess, or capped it.
They capped it.
Is that more than a foot from the driveway, or can you remember? Because I don't, if this does pass, I want to make sure that cap is still on our property.
I believe it is, but I have to double check. I believe it's more than a foot.
Oh, I think it is too, but I just,
Can I re-clarify my motion? Will you take back a second, Greg?
Yes.
yes.
Let me modify the first original statement, just to say pending the well pipe is not tainted.
Well cap is
Is more than
retained.
1 foot away from the driveway.
Yeah, I'm good now. That's what I was gonna say.
So
we have a second.
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
So if we sell this driveway, or if we don't sell this driveway, what happens? He's still gonna use it.
Until the board reconfigures that space, and then probably block him off. I mean, block him from accessing that side of his house.
He said we were gonna move those portables we can't get rid of over there.
Yeah, basically, I take it if we don't do nothing, then I guess my thought is we, take up the asphalt and we have to put a fence up.
Well, what I'm asking is it gonna, I mean, I know we own the land, but if he uses it and gets hurt on it, are we liable for that? Is there gonna be any attorney stuff over
He's
this? Is he gonna?
trespassing.
I understand that. I know what the law is, trust me. But,
I see what you're saying.
but are we gonna end up in a big civil debate in front of a judge that's gonna cost us 3 times the amount of money what we're gonna make out of this? I'm asking for anybody's input.
If you can sue for a french fry making you fat, I assume.
Well, how long has this been going on? How long has it been using the property? Because I kind of hate to go in there and be abrupt about this when I don't know who, I don't know if it was the prior owner's fault, what agreement they had.
It was what I was told, the previous owner of the house gave him permission to use that.
That was his daughter.
That was his daughter.
And so ever since they've sold it, which they've probably been gone now 10, 12 years, this side guy's owned it.
Does he have
But now-
another entrance?
Not to that driveway, not to that one garage. Yes, he does have a garage turned the other way, but he's got a garage that faces, and his front door faces Gray School, that driveway.
He has another driveway on the other side of the house.
Not to the same garage.
It's a different
Different
garage.
garage, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's his gazebo that it's actually going to.
I mean, the garage that's facing, the front door is facing Gray School, is this driveway.
And too, if motion passes and Mr. Adams contacts him, he may say no, then
Well, then we
we gotta
just,
come back and do something, or,
Yeah.
or again, just put a fence up. I don't know.
Should somebody talk to him before we set a price or do anything? I mean, is this guy retired, older? I mean,
I met him out
limited
there
income?
several months ago, and they're not, I mean, they both work still.
I just think it was for handle liability of them using the driveway. Right now, they own half of it, right? Basically,
Basically, the line's right down the middle of the
they're
driveway.
selling the other half. And that way it's theirs.
Should have been
It's
told.
fenced.
There should have been an easement put in there before we'd ever got this thing.
We could have done that.
Yeah.
Any more discussion?
Let me ask you a question for
Yes, sir.
clarification. So there is a cost, and when you get to the point that you redraw the property lines,
Mhm.
is that to be assumed by the purchaser?
Does it have to be resurveyed?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You want to add that?
I assume so, I just.
Yeah. I was making, you know what Sam does, yes, ma'am. Would you add that to the motion as well?
For him to assume that cost?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Does that have to be replatted?
And recorded.
And how much property is this?
I think we figured like 382 square feet, roughly.
Fraction of an acre.
Yeah. Ms. Buchanan?
Did the owner of the house approach the board to purchase the house, or does he just want to continue to use the property?
No, they had reached out and request, consideration to sell a portion of the property to them so they can continue to utilize the driveway.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer. Everybody understand the motion, correct?
Would you have Jennifer read it again?
Yes.
It's been a while.
Move for approval to provide an option to purchase the driveway 1 foot over from the driveway on the house side to the front corner of the property at the cost of the demolition of $25,000 extra gray elementary, pending the well cap is more than 1 foot away from the driveway. Survey costs will be paid by the purchaser.
Thank you.
Five yeses and 4 noes.
Thank you.
And we will connect with the family.
All right. All right, next we got a bunch of policies. With, I think 29 of them total. I don't know if you want to group them or if there's something in certain ones you want to pull out or whatever this board decides on it.
What's been changed? Are they any, is it state?
All of these are a result of legislation this past spring.
Good question.
I said we group them together.
Policy updates
I've got a
provided by
couple I want to pull out.
Okay. And
If
since,
they're all by law, can we just group them?
well, that's what I just asked. If you all want to group them or go individually or pull certain ones out or whatever.
I'd love to group them if they're all by law.
Mr. Payne?
I'd like to make a motion, if you allow.
Yes, sir.
And Greg can talk about discussion of why he wants to pull some of them out, but anyway, policy 1501, 1800, 2403, 2806, 3202, 3205, 3400, 4401, 4213, 4600, 4704, 5307, 5701, 4214, 4301, 4403, 5802, 6203, 6318, 6300, 6309, 63, and it looks like 16, 6452, 6409, 6317, 6200, 634, 63401, 5305, 33161, and those, all those together for the second and final reading. Did you get that, Jennifer?
Yes, sir.
Second.
We got a motion and second discussion.
Right, I wanted to pull out 6.3.
What number is that?
Student Code of Conduct.
Well, can you tell us why though, that way, because if it is for state law.
No, it has to do with 6.3 has to do with verbiage. And
That's number 19 on, well, I don't know if your all's is numbered or not.
Yeah.
6.318, is that the one you're speaking of?
I've just got it as 6.3, student code of
Oh,
conduct.
conduct,
It's
okay.
G20.
6.300,
Okay.
item 8G20.
And what was your question on
It was
that?
line 13.
I would recommend you pull out what you
Okay.
consider pulling out what Mr. Huddlestone wants to, and then vote on the others, and then we can go back to each individual that he pulls out.
Just make a motion on which one you want to pull out then.
Amendment.
Yeah, 6.3 and 6.317, student disciplinary hearing authority.
6.317.
I don't see a 317.
Yes, 300.
Item 8G25,
3,000, right?
6.317.
3,000.
317, thank you. 6.300.
Is that the only two?
Yes, sir.
You want to make that as an amendment to the motion? Because his motion was to group them all.
Yes, please.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Can we change the verbiage if it's state law?
I think he may have, I mean, we can discuss that. I don't know what his concerns are.
Okay, sorry.
Any more discussion on the amended motion?
And this is to pull those two
That's
items.
to pull 6.300 and 6.317, yes. Let's vote on the amended motion, please.
Just the amendment.
Just the amended, yes.
It is open. Mr. Cannon?
Annette?
Yes, yes.
It carries with one no.
All right, thank you.
Motion as amended.
Now you're voting on the motion as amended.
Now-
Yes.
And this is pulling out those two.
Right.
Includes pulling out these.
Right, now we need to vote on the amended, the motion as amended.
Yes.
Thank you.
You go leave
Is it
it.
open?
No, there it is.
Oh, sorry. Now it is. Ms. Buchanan?
Hers was yes.
Yes, okay.
I had a couple questions about it.
Okay, now,
Oh, you want, okay, go ahead.
now, if you want to go ahead and speak of the two policies.
Yeah, I'm looking at line 13, where 12 and 13, where it says the development of each code shall involve principals and staff members of each level and shall evidence.
Excuse me, is this 6.300 first? Is that?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And shall evidence-based behavior supports and interventions. It does not flow correctly. It does not sound, that was just, they struck out the words be based
I
on.
think maybe, yeah, it shall be, I think we struck through the word be. You see the highlighted and struck through words.
Yes,
Inadvertently, the be was.
right, that's just one little
Struck through. Yes, sir.
simple thing.
Thank you. Yeah, that was just an extra strike through that was not needed and wanted.
So you make that in form of a motion?
Do we need to for that?
Yes, sir, because we got two policies.
Just note to correct that.
Include to correct and add the word be to that policy, BE.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
A second.
What's the motion?
To strike out the letter,
To add be
yeah, to add the,
before evidence-based. On line 13 on page 1.
Computer just froze up.
So that's a typo or?
Yeah, when selecting, obviously, when reviewing and selecting, you notice that the strike-through language was removed, and accidentally they pulled in the strike-through word be. They struck through be when they didn't need to. It just,
okay, whenever you're ready, Jennifer, let's
Mr.
vote.
Huddlestone made the motion, who seconded
Yes, who
that?
seconded that?
I did.
Ms. Dillinger. Any more discussion on? All right, let's vote.
You gonna pay, is it gonna be passed on first and final?
Mr. Huddlestone.
Yes,
You want to wait first and go to final?
for that, yeah.
Okay.
For the hat, yeah.
It's open. Motion carries.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go
I just
ahead.
had a couple of questions about this. A couple of the policies that struck my eye were the class size, and from what I've read, that relates only to CTE.
Yes,
where
ma'am,
they-
that was in legislation.
That was what they had to say, okay, that went ahead and passed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the library materials, so that will be posted online, every
Required by law, yes, ma'am.
every teacher's, do we do that now?
As far as classroom teacher volume?
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay, so that's something.
It was this, it's an ongoing, it's been multiple years in that discussion.
Okay. I
Started
wasn't
out
sure if
with
they-
libraries and then it filtered down into classroom
Okay,
sets.
thank you.
Mr. Ostone?
Going to 6.317, line 18. If an appeal is desired by a parent, guardian, or teacher, and then it continues on the verbiage. And then as you move down further to where that they want to appeal it further, it strikes the word guardian out. It does not allow the guardian to be able to appeal
The
it.
discussion is that's antiquated language, and unfortunately, we didn't remove it before. A parent is a parent, whether they're, assigned as a guardian or their actual biological parent. It was just a discussion about removing the word guardian, but they still have parent rights. Whatever title you put them, they're a parent.
Okay, that's what I just want to make sure that a guardian is
Yeah,
not.
unfortunately, consistency, we left the word guardian in that statement above. It wasn't to remove any rights, it was just the fact, the discussion was, they're parents, even though they might be grandparents and called guardians, they're parents. It was just a technical.
I didn't know if we were getting into a legal definition of what a parent is and wanted to
No.
avoid that, wanted to make sure the
No,
the
sir,
guardians
it was
had
just
the
trying to
right.
be not, just so redundant. And there was a discussion about, is that disrespecting the folks that are serving as guardians,
Right.
legal guardians of children, their parents.
Okay, then that,
So your motion
that's a
is
good
keep it as written?
explanation. Leave it as it is then, as long as that's going to be taken care of.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion?
Is this on,
That's
wait
on-
first and pass on second?
Yes,
final?
you wait first and go to second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Who second that?
Mr. Walters,
Thank you.
heavy on this one.
Voting's open. All approved.
Thank you. All right, next, if I can get a motion for the approval of the annual agenda.
So move.
We have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I hope you all had time to review the, any more discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open. Wait, no, it's on. Still on vacation. Now it's open. All approved.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Boyd, donation of portable classroom for Eden Methodist Church.
Yes, upon surplusing the portable unit at Fall Branch, and the next step will be removal. We have a request from the Eden Methodist Church to assume the cost of moving that and taking the structure.
Mr. Waters?
I make a motion that we donate a portable classroom from Fall Branch to Eden Methodist Church.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
like to make sure we put in a time frame or a time limit on that.
Yes, sir. Hopefully it'll be less, I guess, logistically difficult where it's located in Fall Branch versus Gray Elementary School. That's true. And it is just a smaller unit.
I just want to make sure.
Thank you.
Yes,
Got churches near the school, I take it?
No,
No.
don't believe so.
no, Eden Methodist is over on Mill Springs in Jonesboro, Greenwood side, and Fall Branch is, of course, Fall Branch. So it's about a 15, 16 mile.
We can't get them to take one from Gray to where?
Drop it off, sure.
Buy one, get one free?
Well, the ones at Gray are larger. They're multiple classrooms that are all buildings connected. That one's just 2 classroom units.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open. All approved?
Thank you. All right, Mr. Boyd, interlocal agreement with the town of Jonesboro and Washington County.
Yes, sir, and more specifically, this is pertaining to the other interlocal agreement around the Jonesboro, the construction of new Jonesboro, which contains items about Boones Creek Athletic Complex, the management of the grounds and the management of the complex facilities, scheduling, so on and so forth. In that original written agreement, Jonesboro was responsible for mowing the grounds of Boones Creek Elementary and the athletic complex. They have approached us to take on that responsibility and would pay us the cost. The original amount was indicated to be they would pay us $35 a year annually.
35,000.
35,000, yeah, more than 35,000. A lot more. But most recent discussions, it's just not reflected in this draft that still has to be finalized, is $40,000 instead of $35,000. So that's one interlocal agreement, and that is specific in the language about mowing, maintaining the grounds. The other interlocal, in the original, there was also a section about the county is responsible because the county is the owner of the property. And they would be responsible for managing the complex, which includes scheduling the tournaments and the use of the fields and so on and so forth, which our team does for, you know, all of our other facilities, particularly Grandview, Ridgeview. They would be, so the agreement would be, we would assume that responsibility of managing and maintaining the facilities that aren't the grounds, you know, the fencing, the buildings and so forth, the turf on the 4 fields, and so on, and obviously the track that's around the football, soccer field. And that would be for an amount of $60,000 as proposed for a period of 10 years, annually, for 10 years. I say drafts because I believe we're, all the attorneys for Jonesboro, the attorney for Jonesboro and the board's attorney has looked at that, and there's been an agreement that we feel like it's in a good place. The draft of the interlocal with the county has been sent to the attorney, and most recently we just haven't heard any final confirmation of that. But I just, you know, I was concerned that maybe myself or we were holding up the process, and I just wanted to facilitate the process. And if I could get at least board approval or direction, and then we will then help the other 2 government bodies finalize the agreements.
Ms. Point?
I'll make a motion, we go ahead with the interlocal agreement, but $40,000 for the town of Jonesboro and stay with $60,000 for the county.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I said something to Mr. Boyd about, do we want to stretch it out for 10 years? Because I feel like if we go out 5 years, everything's going to go up between now and 5 years. I'm worried year 4, 5, 6, 7, there, won't have enough money to operate. And we're committing that we're gonna do it for that. So, I mean, I didn't think about this when we was doing it, but it's whatever y'all think, but I'm really concerned about it.
So right now, we're at $1 million over the 10 years, basically. But you're saying make it 5?
Well, it
Amount?
needs, I feel like maybe we ought to negotiate again in 5 years because everything's gonna go up. I'm sorry, but
Well, for 4 years, we ain't got nothing to take care of the ground. I mean,
we ain't
just
got paid
bought it.
yet, so it don't matter, we ain't got paid yet, and we're still taking care of it, but I'm just throwing that out there, so.
More discussion, or? Okay, hearing none, let's vote, please, Jennifer.
You have him
You want
To go to 40,000 for the town of Jonesboro.
to keep the 60?
You keep the 60 for the Washington County Commission.
Voting's open. Five yeses and 4 noes.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Okay, we got some purchase orders, Mr. Boyd.
Yeah, these have been added since the workshop. We had the workshop in June. You see the ongoing with the ISM, the Innovative Schools Model Grant, for updating the CT classroom. There's a quote for 2 Squirrels cabinet, Limestone, Tennessee, for cabinets and countertops to be added to that classroom in the amount of $12,800. And this is utilizing the grant funds for Lamar Elementary School.
Mr. Wayne?
Make a motion, we move forward with purchase order 2506.
A second.
Discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open. All agreed.
Thank you.
Next item, purchase order 35528. This is with the company Power School, which is our student management system. This is an annual subscription for a component around college and career readiness. And recommend approval of $15,960.06.
Ms. Waters?
I'll make a recommendation, a motion that we approve purchase order 35528.
We have a second. Discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open. Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, looks like, Mr. Boyd, we got some dietary items.
I don't see those attached to.
They're listed underneath.
Okay, we did a section and then
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah,
I'm
just
sorry.
did a-
I was looking for the PDFs. Okay, so a series, these are, annually, starting the school year. These are purchases that will be made throughout the school year, but we get an open PO, so we need board approval, and you will see they're large amounts because this is how our school nutrition operates throughout the year and with these partners.
Could we
To
group them?
provide. You can choose to do so, yes, sir. But they're all purchase orders for various companies that our school nutrition services uses throughout the year.
Mr. Wayne?
Make a motion, we group 9E, 9F, 9G, 9H, 9I, and 9J as in the purchase requisitions from the dietary department.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Buchanan?
So these purchase orders, are they capped at how much can be spent?
Those amounts are not to exceed.
Okay.
If they do exceed, they will have to come back and request an additional purchase order and
Okay, thank you.
identify the funds. Yes, ma'am.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting is open. Motion carries.
Thank you. Only other thing I have is just some, reiterate some dates. July 30th is the teachers, when teachers report. I'm sorry, let me back up. New teacher is July 25th at Grace Meadows at 5:30. Oh, I'm sorry, 11:30.
You can come at 5:30, but I don't think they will be
We
there.
won't be there. Next one is our teachers report July 30th, and be like we did, I think, over the years at 1 o'clock at Jonesboro Middle School. And then August 8th is our August board meeting.
And you mentioned about.
When's that kids' summer camp again begin?
22nd. July is the week of the 22nd of July, through the 26th.
One thing that Jennifer just reminded me, we did not have the, because Annette wasn't here and I think Mr. Huddleston was gone when we had the offer on Jonesboro School. What I'd like to do is on our workshop on July 30th, I would like to add a call meeting to discuss that so we can give them an answer, if everybody's in agreement.
Yeah, can we start the meeting? Let's have discussion. Well, that doesn't matter. Never mind. Go ahead.
It would be a single agenda item.
Yeah.
It'll just be one
Call
item.
For that particular consideration.
Start that at-
Before the workshop or after?
Before the workshop.
Want to start that at 5 o'clock?
I would prefer any voting be done at a regular meeting. I think that piece is so big with your community that when you do those call meetings and do them early, there's a lot of community that can't be there, they can't log on, there's just a lot of things. So I would rather, if I want to vote on something like that, it would be on a regular meeting.
I agree.
Okay? That's the majority of the board.
We'll discuss it.
So August the 8th.
Right.
Okay, so it'll be a workshop item on the 30th. All right, other than that, meeting's adjourned.
Great job, Jennifer.
Here is your,